Before you do anything else right now, I want you to notice something, not something outside you, something inside, somewhere in your chest or just below it. There is a particular quality of feeling that has been sitting with you for longer than you can precisely name. It arrived quietly. It didn't announce itself. It simply settled in, the way certain truths settle in, without permission and without a clear departure date. You've tried explaining it away. You've tried logical frameworks and reasonable conclusions, and the kind of self-talk that worked on smaller feelings in smaller moments. And still, it remains. Your body is not confused. Your body is not malfunctioning. Your body is speaking the oldest language available to a human being. And tonight, I want to help you understand what it's actually saying. Not the comfortable version, the true one, because you deserve the true one more than you deserve comfort. Stay with me through all of it. The part that changes something real is not at the beginning. Here is where we have to start, with something most people get completely wrong about the body's wisdom. There is a real phenomenon called interoception. It's the nervous system's capacity to sense and interpret signals arising from inside the body itself, not the 5 external senses, the internal ones, the sensation of your heartbeat, the quality of your breathing, the tightness or openness in your chest, the specific temperature of emotion moving through different regions of your body. Researchers studying interoception have found something genuinely surprising. People vary enormously in their capacity to accurately read these internal signals. And the people with the highest interoceptive accuracy, the ones who are most precisely tuned to what their bodies are communicating, consistently make better decisions about their relationships, their safety, and their well-being than people who are primarily guided by conscious reasoning alone. Your body is not primitive. Your body is not the part of you that logic has to override. Your body is a highly sophisticated information processing system that has been running data on your behalf for your entire life. It stored every experience that ever mattered. It registered every moment when something felt safe or unsafe, real or performed, nourishing or draining, before your conscious mind had assembled enough information to form an opinion. The question is not whether to trust your body. The question is whether you're reading it accurately. And that distinction is the most important thing I'm going to say today, because here is what nobody in this space will tell you. The body speaks the truth. And the truth the body speaks is not always the truth we hoped it would speak. Let me introduce you to a woman I'll call Mara. Mara had been in a relationship that ended 18 months before the night she found herself lying awake at 3 a.m. with her hand pressed flat against her sternum, feeling the specific pressure there that had become familiar over those 18 months. She knew the feeling well. She had categorized it privately as the feeling of him, the feeling of their connection still being alive somewhere. She took it as a sign. She told herself that her body was telling her the story wasn't finished, that the pressure in her chest was the feeling of something still moving between them, still organizing itself, still finding its way back. And she was not entirely wrong about that. The pressure was real. The connection had been real. Her body was genuinely carrying something. What Mara could not see from inside her own experience was that what her body was actually carrying was not a message about him. It was a message about her. The pressure in her chest was the specific somatic signature of an unmet need that long predated the relationship, that the relationship had briefly seemed to answer, and that his absence had exposed again with a precision she hadn't expected. Her body was not telling her he was coming back. Her body was telling her that something in her was asking to be found, and she had been translating the message outward for 18 months instead of inward. This is one of the most important things Carl Jung ever wrote about, though he wrote it in the language of the psyche rather than the body. Jung understood that the unconscious communicates not only through dreams and symbols, but through what he called affect. The felt emotional experience that rises before rational thought has a chance to interpret it. And Jung was very specific about what he called the danger of the unconscious. Not that it misleads us, but that we mislead ourselves about what it is saying. We interpret the signal through the lens of our most urgent hope. We hear what we need the message to say rather than what it is actually saying. The warmth in your chest is real. The pull is real. The feeling that something is unfinished is real. The question that will actually help you is not, what does this feeling mean about him? The question is, what does this feeling mean about me? What is this feeling pointing toward in my own interior that I have not yet fully faced? That question requires something different from you than comfort does. It requires a willingness to sit with your body's signals without immediately redirecting them outward toward another person. It requires the genuine courage to ask whether what you are feeling is intuition or longing. Because they feel very similar from the inside, and they lead to completely different places. Jung made a distinction that is essential here. He distinguished between what he called the feeling function, which is a real psychological capacity for registering value and meaning through emotional experience, and what he called sentiment, which is emotional experience colored and distorted by unconscious wishes, fears, and projections. Both feel real. Both produce genuine sensations in the body. The difference is not in their intensity. The difference is in their direction. Intuition moves you toward truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. Longing moves you toward what you wish were true, even when the evidence is pointing elsewhere. And learning to tell the difference between your intuition and your longing is one of the most consequential skills a person can develop. It is also, not coincidentally, one of the hardest. Here is how you begin to develop it. You stop asking the feeling what it means about him. You start asking the feeling what it's made of. You get specific. When that warmth moves through your chest, when you think of him, you follow it and you ask it questions. Where exactly do you live? What memory are you attached to? What did that moment give me that I haven't known how to give myself? When that pressure appears, you don't immediately assign it to the story of the two of you. You ask it, what are you telling me about what I need? What quality of experience are you pointing me toward? What am I actually longing for underneath the longing for him specifically? This is not about eliminating the feeling. It is about reading it accurately. Your body is genuinely wise, and its wisdom is about you. First, before it is about anyone else. Now, I want to talk about something real, because something real is happening. Not the version where the universe is orchestrating his return and your peace is traveling through invisible threads to soften his defenses. Not that version. The version that is actually true and is actually useful to you, too. When a genuine emotional bond forms between two people, both nervous systems undergo measurable changes. Research in the field of interpersonal neurobiology, particularly the work of Alan Shaw and Daniel Siegel, has established that close relationships actually alter neural architecture. The way your nervous system regulates itself, the rhythm of your autonomic responses, the baseline of your felt sense of safety, these are shaped in relationship and then recalibrated when relationships change. This is why the absence of a significant person doesn't feel like a neutral condition. It feels like something is missing from the regulatory system itself. It is. Your nervous system built a pattern around this person's presence, and it is now in the process of finding a new pattern without it. That process is real. It has a biological basis. It is not weakness. It is not pathology. It is the nervous system doing exactly what nervous systems do, adapting, recalibrating, slowly building new forms of regulation where old ones no longer apply. What this means practically is that the feelings in your body, the warmth, the pressure, the waves of emotion, the pull, these are not primarily signals about him. They are signals from your nervous system as it does this recalibration work. They are the sensations of a system in process, of something real and biological healing and reorganizing itself. And the most useful thing you can do with those sensations is not to interpret them as evidence of what's happening on his end. the most useful thing you can do is to work with them directly, to learn to regulate your own nervous system without depending on the hope of his return as a regulatory strategy. That shift from using hope as a regulatory mechanism to developing genuine self-regulation is one of the most profound things a person can do for their own psychological health. And it is available to you right now, not when he comes back, not when the situation resolves, right now. Here is what that shift feels like from the inside. There is a moment, and you may have already had glimpses of it, when you notice the familiar pull, the familiar pressure, the familiar wave, and instead of immediately turning your attention outward toward him, toward what he might be feeling, toward whether he's thinking of you, toward signs of his return, you turn your attention inward. You breathe into the sensation. You let it be what it is without immediately narrativizing it. You ask it, what do you need right now? Not what does this feeling mean about him? What do you need right now? And you listen. Actually, listen. The way you have been listening for signs from him, you listen to yourself instead. This sounds simple. It is not simple, because for a woman who has been organized around a connection for months or years, turning the attention inward rather than outward feels almost physically wrong at first. It feels like abandonment, like giving up, like releasing something precious. Part of that feeling is the nervous system resisting the change in its regulatory pattern. Part of it is what Jung would call the pull of the projection, the difficulty of withdrawing the qualities you have located in another person and recognizing them as qualities you carry within yourself. Both of those pulls are real, and both of them ease with practice. Let me come back to Mara. The night I described, when she was lying awake with her hand on her chest, was not actually the worst night of those 18 months. It was the turning point, not because she reached some dramatic conclusion, because she asked a different question. She had been asking, what is this feeling telling me about him? That night, for the first time, she asked, what is this feeling telling me about me? And she stayed with the question long enough for an answer to arrive. Not an answer her mind produced quickly. A slower, quieter answer. The answer her body gave her when she stopped using the pressure in her chest as evidence about him and started listening to it as information about herself. What it told her was this: the quality she had found in the relationship, the specific feeling of being seen in a particular way, of mattering to someone who moved through the world with a particular kind of intensity, was something her body recognized as deeply nourishing, and her body had been telling her, through the pressure and the longing and the waves of feeling, not that he needed to return that nourishment to her, but that she had discovered a need in herself that was real and important, and had been partially unmet for most of her adult life. And that meeting, it was her work, not his. That recognition did not make the longing disappear immediately. Longing doesn't evaporate on recognition, but something changed in its quality. It stopped feeling like a message about him and started feeling like a message about her. It stopped pulling her outward toward his silence and started pulling her inward toward herself. And over the following months, what Mara built by following that inward pull was something no relationship had been able to give her, because no relationship can give it. She built it herself, the specific quality of being with herself in a way that felt like the thing she had been reaching for, the internal version of being seen, the relationship with her own interior world that made her finally, genuinely findable by the kind of love that could actually receive her. Your body already knows. That is true. And what it knows is about you. It knows what you need. It knows what nourishes you. It knows the qualities of experience your soul has been reaching for, sometimes wisely and sometimes by attaching those qualities to people who carried echoes of them rather than the genuine thing. Your body knows the difference between what feels like safety and what is safety, between what feels like love and what love actually requires, between the sensation of connection and the reality of being truly met. And it will tell you if you ask it the right questions. Questions that turn inward rather than outward. Questions about what you need, not questions about what he's feeling. Questions about what you're ready for, not questions about when he'll return. Here is what I want to offer you as a genuine practice, not as a spiritual reassurance, but as something you can actually do. The next time you feel that pressure or warmth or pull in your body, before you turn your attention to him, before you begin interpreting the sensation as a signal about the connection, do this. Place your hand where you feel it most and ask it 4 questions. 1. Where did I first learn this feeling? Not with him, before him. When did I first know this particular quality of longing or ache or reaching? 2. What was I looking for when I found this relationship? What quality of experience, what specific felt sense was I hoping it would provide? 3. Where else in my life does this quality exist? Or could it exist independent of him? 4. What would it mean for me, just me, to be the one who provides this for myself? These questions are not a substitute for the connection you felt. They are not designed to make you stop caring. They are designed to help you read your body accurately, to distinguish between the body's wisdom about what you need and the mind's tendency to locate what you need in a specific person and wait for that person to deliver it. Because here is the thing about waiting. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is an active choice that costs something real. It costs the time and attention and emotional energy that could be flowing toward yourself and your own growth and the life that is building itself right now, while part of your attention remains organized around the question of his return. Waiting is a choice, and you get to make a different one. Not by forcing yourself to stop feeling, not by performing a detachment you don't actually feel, by genuinely, gradually, imperfectly redirecting the intelligence of your own body toward yourself, by asking your body what it needs and learning, slowly, to be the one who provides it. By discovering, through that practice, that the warmth you've been looking for in the pressure in your chest when you think of him exists somewhere in you that is not contingent on what he decides. This is what Jung called individuation, becoming, through the full and honest engagement with your own interior life, the most complete version of yourself. Not because it makes you more attractive or more likely to attract the right relationship, though those things may follow, but because you are a person whose interior life deserves to be fully inhabited, whose body deserves to be listened to accurately and honestly, whose wisdom deserves to be turned toward itself rather than spent endlessly translating what someone else's silence might mean. Your body already knows. It has been trying to tell you something for weeks or months, and what it's been saying underneath every warmth and pressure and pull and wave of feeling is this: come home, not to him, to yourself, the self that existed before this connection and that will continue existing after it resolves, in whatever form it resolves, the self that has been patiently waiting for your full attention, the self whose wisdom you have been outsourcing to the interpretation of his behavior. The self who is, right now, in this moment, the most important relationship available to you. Your body already knows this. And now, slowly, so does your mind.